The fifth money strategy for funding your first investment property is a VTB. What is a VTB? A VTB is a Vendor Takeback Mortgage. This is one of my most favorite creative financing strategies for buying real estate. And it is a strategy that works when the markets are slow, when the sellers are motivated to sell, and I've seen it done on both commercial and residential properties. So how does it exactly work? Well, essentially what happens is you're asking the seller to give you a mortgage to buy the property from the seller. And the seller can give you a big mortgage or a small mortgage. They can also give you a mortgage in a first position or in a second position. It's really all negotiable depending on what you're looking for and depending on how motivated that seller is. So let's go through an example so I can demonstrate to you how to use this tool. And we're going to talk about the benefits and the disadvantages. So let's say you are looking to buy a $600,000 property. That's what you agreed to buy this property for, all right? And let's say that the seller is motivated to sell this property to you. And in your negotiation, in your purchase and sales agreement, you want to get a vendor takeback. Well, if you were to go and apply for a mortgage on a $600,000 residential income property in Canada, you're going to need 20% down, and that is $120,000. Let's say that you have $60,000 out of that $120,000 from your own money or HELOC or other resources, but now you're short the remaining $60,000. So what you can do is you can ask the seller to give you a VTB for that amount. So essentially, you are coming up with your own 10%, and the seller is giving you the other 10%, and that makes up the 20% needed to close this property for down payment. Now, you're gonna need a first mortgage, and there are a couple of ways to do this, depending on how you personally qualify. Some lenders are okay with you having a vendor take back behind their first mortgage, and some lenders are not. So we have to be selective of who we're going to fund this first mortgage with. Not all banks or all lenders are okay with this setup on a residential property, but it is doable, okay? So we can go get a traditional first mortgage, you put your 10% down, and that remaining amount comes from the seller. That is one way to do it. The other way to do it is to say, you know what? Forget about a first mortgage from a bank. I only have 10% and I want to make my life easier, all right? I'm going to see if this seller is going to give me 90% vendor take back. So essentially what they're doing here is they're giving you a first mortgage, right? And you're putting your 10% into the deal. That's the second setup. The third setup that I have seen is the following. I have seen clients put nothing into the deal, as in zero. They have nothing into the deal, all right? And I'm gonna talk again about the pros and cons of this, but you can go get a private first mortgage, let's say at 70% of this 600,000, and you can negotiate with the seller to give you a vendor take-back mortgage for the remaining 30%. Which path do you take? Depends on how motivated the seller is, what terms are you able to negotiate for yourself to make sure that the deal works, right? And then thirdly, what's your exit strategy? At the end of the day, a vendor take-back mortgage is a temporary loan that you're getting to be able to pick up that deal. And that loan is can range from 6 months to a year to 2 years, but it will eventually have to be paid off, okay? So all of these factors play into how you're going to structure it. And the beauty about vendor takebacks is that it's all negotiable. I have seen clients negotiate vendor takebacks with a balloon payment, so they're not paying interest every month, but they're making a big lump sum payment at the end of the quarter, or every 6 months, or at the end of the year. I've seen that. The interest is also negotiable. It's what you negotiate with the seller. The downsides, as I mentioned, temporary strategy. You have to speak with a qualified mortgage advisor who understands creative financing, who understands income property financing, to guide you upfront on how you're going to pay this money back. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you get super excited about getting a vendor takeback and putting the least amount into a deal. And then fast forward, when that vendor takeback mortgage is up for renewal, that seller doesn't want to renew for you, and nobody else wants to come and take their position. So we have to think upfront on how are we going to get you out of that mortgage. Are we going to refinance this property? Are you going to do any work to this property to increase its value so that we can eventually refinance it and pay this out? These are the things that you have to think about. But vendor takeback mortgages is one of the creative strategies that real estate investors use, whether they're sophisticated or starting out, as long as you can negotiate.